Punky Radio, aPOSTA Punky Radio, aPOSTA Punky Radio, the radio show for you that isn't actually on the radio, but has lots of cool sound effects, and is an aPOSTA channel. And listen to this, baby. Oh yeah!
Hello, my little chickadees. How are we today? Well, this is the final broadcast on YouTube, at least, of aPOSTA Punk Radio. And I thought for my last outing here in the country, I thought I'd talk about my life growing up as a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't know any different. My parents were witnesses. My mother actually came into the cult when she met my father. And I remember it started off pretty unusual at first as kids growing up, because when it was birthday time or Christmas time, my parents, who were new converts, they didn't want us to miss out, so we sort of had presents around Christmas time. But I suppose I was a little bit confused at school. I wasn't really too sure whether I was having Christmas presents like the rest of the kids. When they talked about what presents they'd got, I told them about the presents I'd got, but they weren't Christmas presents. Around about birthday time we'd get presents as well, but sort of like on a day that wasn't birthday. In the UK here we have 5th of November bonfire night. You probably heard of that from the film V for Vendetta. And we used to get fireworks and we'd let them off in the garden, but it wouldn't be on the 5th of November, it'd be at another time. So we kind of did all the things that the world trademark were doing, except we sort of did them at a different time to sort of placate our consciences, I guess. Probably because my parents were newish converts, but my dad was heavily into it. Eventually he became a congregation servant back in the 60s. He was presiding overseer for many years until he died, bless him. Now I remember one thing, that he had a call, a return visit. Somebody had asked him some questions about Russell and Divine Plan of the Ages and all that jazz, and he had to answer them. So Dad did some research and he decided that the Watchtower weren't false prophets, even though he'd been told by this return visit trademark that they were. I think he didn't want to think that he'd got caught into a filthy, disgusting cult, so he was going to do his best to justify, the wrongs of the Watchtower. And he kind of did some research, and I think really that stuck with me for a very long time, because people had said things to me about false prophecy 1975, and I lived through 1975, and believe you me, the Watchtower did say that 1975 would be Armageddon. Old Franzi, alone, year 1975. And we heard it all the time. People we knew were getting into debt because they thought Armageddon had come and they wouldn't have to pay back their debtors. Talking about making darn silly mistakes because of the Watchtower. And some of them got into debt. Some of them actually sold up and went to live in a caravan and pioneered. And it's typical cult control. But of course it was their fault, because the Watchtower claimed that it didn't say that 1975 was going to be Armageddon, and it blamed the rank and file. Their term, not my term. So I grew up with all this, and my father was a good man. He was my hero in a way, and he went along with all the cult propaganda big style, and I think that influenced me a lot as I grew up. So when I came across kind of like apostate trademark thinking, if you know what I mean, then I'd just kind of take my dad's stance. I sort of followed what my dad had said, even though I saw from the watchtower and the duplications and the propaganda rags, you know, statements that were blatantly ironic or blatantly stupid. I took Dad's stance because we were a family, we were a good family. The parents were very good to me. They weren't these abusive JWs, and I've seen some abusive JWs. My father was never like that. I remember when the children some of the kids used to get taken outside in the back room and you hear slap, 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 wah, just because they'd moved slightly or, you know, got a bit restless. But my father always said, well, the Kingdom Hall shouldn't be a torture chamber. So he didn't treat us like that, I do have to say. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't wake up. I didn't wake up, even when confronted with watchtower propagandas and their filthy, disgusting lies, because my father had kind of set this example. And I thought that, well, if Dad thought it was good, then it was good. Mum just went along with it. And I've spoken to my mum recently as well, and I've said things to her about the watchtower, and she gets it. I mean, she totally gets it, but at her age, I think it would destroy her to come out of the cult. So that's a kind of a dilemma that I've been in. Do I leave my mum be, or do I get her out of the cult? And if I do get her out of the cult, will she die of a broken heart? I don't know. I really don't know. So this is what I thought I wanted to discuss. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my side of the story anyway. And when I became an elder, I saw a dark side to the watchtower that drove me away. Thanks to the internet as well for opening my mind and opening my eyes. And I suppose perhaps, I don't know whether I've fallen back onto like a default personality of this sort of person that, you know, had birthdays and Christmas without actually having birthdays and Christmas growing up. So I've often heard it said that when you're born in, when you grow up as a witness, it's very difficult because you don't have a default personality to fall back on. But I think perhaps I did a little bit. And, you know, I was allowed worldly trademark friends. My father did give me that. And I used to have friends around from school and, you know, go out places with friends. And Dad was very lenient like that. He wasn't cult controlled. So I think probably in his heart of hearts, he got it. He probably knew it was a cult, but he just didn't want to admit that he'd made the biggest codge up of his life. You know, that he'd ruined his life. So he stayed in with the party line, if you like. You know, my religion, right or wrong. But I do have to say, the parents were good to me. But now I'm in a situation where I'm out, Mrs. Punk is still in, and very zealous, and she's trying to overcompensate for me being a demonic apostate now. The truth trademark is something that we don't really discuss. If we have discussed it, then I've noticed that Mrs. Punk has got really angry, slamming of doors, shouting, whereas I haven't, and I don't know whether that's had some sort of effect on her, but she's still towing the party line big time. But she doesn't know who the governing body are, and when I talk to her about it, she doesn't want to know. All she wants to know is that she goes out door knocking, she goes to meetings, and that makes her happy. So our life is a little bit weird right now. It's weird. We don't talk about religion. I definitely try and avoid it. My views have probably not really changed over the years. It's just that I adopted my own personal views to suit the watchtower. So I think for me as a born-in, that's where I am. I think I've got a bit of a default personality that I've fallen back onto. Now I've shed the awful cult persona that really annoyed me. Lots of things over the years growing up I didn't get. I just went along with them, and I think I kind of suspected all the way along that it was a cult and it was a little bit weird. But I convinced myself to stay in and do well and be qualified to trademark, because I was following the kind of pattern that my dad set, because he was a good guy, I do have to say. So for all you born-ins who are coming out, good on you. For all you who are studying and having a look to see what really does go on, good on you. Get out, by the way. Get out. Don't study with Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses themselves are very good people. It's the ones at the top, the leaders, and it filters down. All the circuit overseers I've ever known, out of all of them I should say, I've only ever known perhaps about 2 over the years that were really good people. The rest of them are snivelling overlords, nasty, obnoxious men. And that kind of filters down, and I believe that filters down from the top. So I just thought I'd share my experience with you, and make of it what you will, and please leave some comments, leave some feedback, talk to me, do some videos back to me. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say, because sometimes I don't know who I am. But people I've noticed now that I've come out of the filthy, disgusting cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, they're more open with me. When I was in, there was, oh yes, we respect your view, yeah, good, oh that's interesting. But now I've come out, they've kind of revealed, well, we thought it was a bit weird, but we didn't want to say. So, you may find that people you talk to as a witness, when you're a witness, people you talk to go along with it just to be kind of politically correct, but they really think it's weird, secretly. And you can witness to them, trademark, and you can give them watchtowers, trademark, and they just accept them. It's like polite applause, really, to a really rotten act that you've seen. You just give them polite applause just to be nice. And I think that sometimes people will accept the watchtower in your sleep magazine, not because they genuinely want it or like it, but just because they like you as a person and they're being nice to you. So there we go. Let me know what you think, my little darlings. And this is probably the last time that you'll hear me. Not because I'm going to top myself or do myself in or anything like that, but I just run out of things to say. Peace out. Or as propaganda techniques would say, ciao.